Well, the curse is lifted, Aileen and Scott. That is the primetime curse for the Bucs. They get a big win on Monday night, but unfortunately might have come at quite a high cost. We're going to get into all of that, along with a little bit of Mayfield magic and more questions on this second episode of Bucs Bonus.
Live from the Stream Center in Tampa, Florida, the home of News Channel 8, your official Bucs station. This is Bucs Bonus on WFLA Now.
Welcome in. This is the second episode in the 2025 NFL season here for Bucs Bonus. I'm your host, Garrett Phillips, here with Aileen Hnatiuk and Scott Reynolds of Pewter Report here in the Stream Center at WFLA, your official Bucs station. We are talking about what was, Scott, Aileen, a fantastic win, a nail-biting win. And I have to say, if this is going to be a habit, because this is now 2 games in a row where the Bucs have done this to me, my Apple Watch has been giving me high heart rate notifications.
My mother shot me a text last night, and she goes, I have even more gray hair after watching this game, but go Bucs.
Yeah, if this is going to become a habit, I'm going to have to find a cardiologist. I'm going to have to get some medication, because this is, it's a killer, but it is exciting, and it is a win is a win. As Baker Mayfield said, coming off of the field yesterday, the Bucs kind of put those, after game reactions. Baker said, it's not pretty, but it doesn't matter. Style points don't matter in the NFL. A win is a win.
Yeah, if you go back to last year, right, they lost 2 overtime games in primetime on Thursday Night Football in Atlanta, and then on Monday Night Football in Kansas City. That 49ers game went down to the wire with a last-minute kick where Tampa Bay was on the losing side. So they had a lot of close games last year that they lost. Now they're winning those, and I think that's a sign of a more mature veteran team that is figuring out how to win, even though they're not anywhere close to being full strength yet. So I think this is a pretty good indicator of maybe how well this team will play this year, especially when they get some reinforcements. Hopefully Tristan Wirf's back this week against the Jets.
Yeah, to be able to win these close games early on without all of your starters, as you said, Scott, I think it's huge. With a first-year offensive coordinator, you got your offensive line all shuffled around, and you're able to pull out these wins early. And also, they were always on the other side of this last year, right? Like when it came to a close game, you kind of figured, oh man, this is going to be a loss. And the fact that they are on the other side of it is, as you mentioned, just a step in the right direction and really growth that we are seeing before our eyes if you watch last year's season and then this year's season.
And Aileen, it's not just last year. I mean, Scott, I'm sure, can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't believe they've won a primetime game since 2022. It's been almost 3 years since we have seen the Bucs win with the lights on at night.
Has it been that long?
Time. If I remember correctly, the last one was, I guess it depends on if you count a playoff game. They did win. It was an early
primetime games. That's crazy.
An early game, right, in the playoffs against Washington 2 years back. That, I guess, technically.
Well, they also won in primetime in that wild card game against the Eagles. So that's been a little bit more recent, right? But yeah, it's not usually a thing that Tampa Bay does well. And this is important, y'all, because this is week 2, and if Tampa Bay didn't kind of end this narrative, and the narrative would have continued. Okay, well, you were 0-5 last year in primetime games. You started off this season, you're 0-1. In week 2, you lose at Houston. In a couple weeks, this team's going to be in Detroit on Monday Night Football. And then a couple weeks after that, out in L.A. on Sunday Night Football. Then you've got that Thursday night primetime game, the creamsicle game against the Atlanta Falcons in the rematch there. So if you're a Buccaneer player or coach, you don't want that narrative to be in the back of your mind that, what is it about primetime this team can't win? So that win last night, I think, effectively ends that. And as Todd Bowles said today, he's happy to win anytime. Daytime,
what did he say?
Anytime,
that's right.
No time.
Whatever time, that's good with him.
Whatever time's a good time to win. Now, obviously, a big part of the story, right? Primetime win for the Bucs, something that is very rare. We've talked about that. But it was not without a cost, right?
Yeah.
Luke Gedeke, the starting right tackle, who had been not practicing very much last week with a foot injury, re-aggravated it, I believe, on the first drive of the game or second drive of the game, and did not return. And then even worse news, which we found out earlier today, Calijah Kancey, the first-round pick, and what is he now? Third year player, I believe, who was hoping to be a big part of this defensive front, right? Especially the pass rush. He and Vita Vea had that kind of running competition last year for who was going to lead the team in sacks. Well, if it's going to be between the two of them this year, it's going to be Vita Vea probably, because Calijah now obviously out for the rest of the year with a torn pectoral muscle. That is it's a tough blow after coming off of such a high with the way that this game ended, to kind of wake up to the next day and have that bit of bad news. Scott, I have a question for you about Calijah.
Yeah.
This is now the third year in a row that he's been battling injuries. Last 2 years, the first 2 years of his career, kind of a lingering calf injury. Now it's this pectoral muscle. Is Tampa, if you're Tampa Bay and you're Jason Light, do you have to start worrying about this guy's ability to stay healthy on the field for you? Do you have to start looking at replacing him?
Of course, these injuries aren't his fault by any stretch of the imagination, but some guys are just, they're healthier than others. I mean, look at Rondé Barber, right? I mean, he's on WFLA's team over there. And Rondé Barber, I want to say he played 16 years, didn't miss a single start over the last 14 years of his career. He was just an Iron Man. Some players are just built differently than others. And Ndamukong Suh never missed a game due to injury in all of his stops, whether it was in Detroit or Miami or with the Rams or with the Buccaneers or the Eagles his last year. The only time he missed a game, Aileen, was due to like a suspension for kicking players or stomping on them or whatever. So as a lot of coaches will tell you, the greatest ability is availability.
Yeah.
And so Jason Light and Todd Bowles, they're going to have to be forced to use another draft pick on a defensive tackle next year, just in case, because he has had a hard time staying healthy. Again, not his fault, but you have to protect yourself and your roster if you're a team. And you, just like we've seen with Jamel Dean, they drafted 2 more corners because Jamel Dean, when healthy, was good, had a pretty good game. But when is Jamel going to miss some more time due to injury? That's been the story of his career. And unfortunately, it's beginning to be the story of Calijah Kancey's career, too.
And you wonder what happens moving forward, right? Like, what's their game plan moving forward? But also, I think this is a bigger loss than just the X's and O's. Like, he's a really big part of the team in terms of chemistry, in terms of, making things flow. And he's a quiet guy, right? We don't hear him talk too much, but when he's out there, he makes his presence known. And I think that the fact that he's done for the season, the guys are going to mourn this and obviously have to move forward. And I do think they'll have to draft a defensive lineman early next year, like you said, just in case. But best ability is availability, and I believe that. So it just sucks when you see a guy like him, because we love Calijah. He's a super nice guy, and he's always great with us. And he dealt with injuries in his first year, second year, and now this happens in week 2. So you really, really hate it for him. But, saying a prayer for him, and hopefully the Bucs can figure things out.
Now, the Bucs did draft Elijah Roberts, I think, in the 5th round. They drafted him. He was a defensive end in college. He's a defensive tackle here in Tampa. I think he's more of a 5 technique than a 3 technique, which is traditionally, I think, what Calijah plays. But could we see an expanded role for Roberts in his absence? Is he that kind of guy that can fill that spot?
I think so. He's got some quick twitch ability, right? He's twitchier than probably any of the available defensive linemen that they have. Very good athlete.
Don't
have
know
a sack. Why
sack.
he fell to the 5th round, but certainly that's for Tampa Bay's benefit. I think sometimes when you play a certain position and you're projected to go, inside after playing on the edge, that causes teams to have some pause. But I think Tampa Bay pegged this guy. He is a very quick twitch, good pass rushing player, and it's going to be up to he and Logan Hall, who's in a contract year. Logan Hall has every opportunity now to take advantage of this opportunity for himself, whether it's cashing in on a new contract in Tampa Bay as one of those players that will be in the defensive tackle rotation here, or maybe somewhere else for a more lucrative deal in free agency. This is a prime opportunity for Logan Hall to fill in for Calijah Kancey, help the team's interior pass rush. But Elijah Roberts, I think, is actually playing better. He had a sack in the preseason.
He had a good preseason. I was just about to say, Scott, we saw him crush it all preseason.
Right, and he had half a sack in yesterday's game against the Texans. So arrow pointing up for Elijah Roberts. At least they have some options now. And don't be surprised if they bring up either C.J. Brewer or Adam Gotsis from the practice squad.
Can we talk about really quickly that half a sack that Elijah Roberts had? Because he split that sack with Levante David. This is Elijah Roberts' second game as a professional, and that was Levante David's 200th game. We talk about an Iron Man. He's also the only, I think he's one of, 3 Buccaneers, right? It's Derek Brooks, it's Rondé Barber, and now it's Levante David, the 3 Buccaneers who've had 200 career games. The only one of those 3 to not miss a single start in all 200 of those games. That would be Levante David. So kind of an incredible sack to share with, that young blood and the old vet. We're going to get into a little bit more about this game, especially I want to start talking about Baker Mayfield and that offense because they had a magical night, especially at the end there. And we're going to get right to that right after this. Welcome back into the Stream Center here for Bucs Bonus. I'm Garrett Phillips here with Aileen Hnatiuk and Scott Reynolds of Pewter Report. Guys, we were just talking about this game here against Houston last night. This is, for those who don't know, we're recording on Tuesdays. A little bit of a behind-the-scenes secret, I guess I just let out. This game started off explosive, is to say the least. It was a pair of touchdowns, then a field goal, and then a touchdown. 4 straight scoring drives to get us to 14-10. And then we sat at 14-10 for what was essentially basically 2 whole quarters until a late field goal in, actually, no, I don't even think it was a late field goal in the third. I think it was in the fourth quarter was when he started scoring again. And then it was a flurry of offense once again at the very end with what was capped off by. I think it's maybe not slowly, but it is definitely becoming Baker Mayfield's signature move, which is to go and win a game in the fourth quarter when your team needs it the most. He is, I believe, he has the most fourth quarter comeback drives since joining the Buccaneers at the quarterback position. What is it about Baker and what is it about this offense that can go for 2.5 quarters essentially of really nothing happening whatsoever? But then when the lights come on in the prime spot when they need it the most, Baker Mayfield and Josh Grizzard, we should give him certainly a lot of credit. They find a way to do it. What it is about this team that just has that mentality? How are they doing this?
I think it's a rare trait for a quarterback, and I've seen a lot of quarterbacks in my 30 years of covering this team, a lot of them bad quarterbacks, right? And usually when you see a quarterback struggle at the beginning of a game, it's tough to kind of get out of that funk. But Baker Mayfield has this uncanny ability to just turn it on at any given moment. I've seen him start hot, cool off, and then finish hot. I've seen him start hot, stay hot. I've seen him be terrible up until the fourth quarter, and then the light bulb just comes on, and he can pull magic tricks out of his sleeve. And this is kind of becoming the norm. And I really believe with this being a Week 2 game on Monday Night Football, this was the launching pad for his MVP candidacy this year. Last year, he had MVP caliber numbers. I think he should have been in that argument with Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, who ultimately won the award. But Aileen, you look at it, 41 touchdowns last year. Guess what? 5 touchdowns this year. He's cut down on the interceptions. No interceptions so far, knock on wood. He's on pace to throw 42 touchdowns this year. And when you look at that 15-yard scramble on 4th and 10, that was kind of an early signature moment that I think is going to build some momentum for an MVP argument.
Totally.
And this is a guy that is a legit NFL superstar. And what we're seeing this year is the team wanted him to cut down on the turnovers and the reckless plays. So far, he's done that. He actually has become the better Mayfield that he has talked about being in those Popeyes commercials.
The look in that man's eyes, right? Or, hey, now it's Whataburger, or maybe he put that out there.
He's trying hard.
He's fishing for some endorsements, isn't he?
Yeah, right? No, the look in that man's eyes before that play, and you just knew, and I felt like it was something you could feel through the TV screen, because I was here in Tampa. Kenny Morales, he was in Houston, but I feel like whether you were there on the field, in the press box, in Tampa, in wherever, you felt the energy. Like, wait a minute, something really good is about to happen here, and it did, and he's tough as nails. That man is gritty. Like, you see all the memes on Twitter. You look up dog in the dictionary and you see Baker Mayfield. He is just and this is who he is. Like, this isn't like something this is who he is. That's the kind of personality he has. That's the kind of player he has.
Willed this team to some wins.
100%. And they believe in it. And that's what I love about this team, is since Baker Mayfield has touched grass, it's like, okay, this is our guy. Like, we believe in him, and he's proving that time and time. And we saw, again, I just think it's the biggest thing, the fact that they're on the other side of these close games and actually winning them. And I think that is what is really going to be the difference maker in later in the season, when they're fighting for a championship.
Garrett, can you imagine how sore he is today?
Dude, I think
the beating he took last night.
I swear, I was watching a Pat McAfee show, and he was like, his knee is probably the size of my head. And that's why I was asking you, Scott, before. I was like, I feel like he might actually have some low-key injury. But yeah, no, the man is sore. And Todd Bowles said to us today in his press conference, he was like, yeah, probably a little banged up. He'll be fine, though. But for a fact, that man, whether he has a broken toe or, I don't know, sprained ankle, who knows, he's going to be on the field come Sunday in that home opener.
We're talking about how gritty Baker Mayfield is. And Scott, you pointed out in that MVP moment, right? Last year, Josh Allen, who won the MVP, he had that MVP moment. Everybody talked about it in the snow game, where he had the ball was flipped back to him and he dives in for that touchdown. Talking about an early MVP moment for Baker Mayfield, I thought, and this is just, again, watching this game, I thought there was a moment where he had snapped his ankle. He had scrambled, and he was taken down a little rough, and he goes down and he's grabbing at it, and Sterling Shepard's right there, and I thought Sterling Shepard was like, oh no, we just lost our quarterback. Yeah. And then moments later, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, who just, I don't know what it is about this guy, but somehow he gets under every Bucs player's skin.
Those two guys can't stand each other. And I think once Baker knew that's who it was, he's like, oh, I'm not hurt. I'm going to get up and talk trash to you.
Yeah.
That was like the antidote.
I covered him when he was with the Saints, and he was just as
it's just something about him gets
chirpy.
Under his skin. Yeah. And listen, thank you to CGJ, right? Thank you for healing Baker Mayfield's ankle on that play to allow him to finish the game, because that's what it looked like. I truly did believe that he was injured. But, it's not just Baker Mayfield. Obviously, the offensive line, a lot of problems. They've had to reshuffle, but they did pretty well, especially in the run game. I mean, we got to see both Rachaad White and Bucky Irving really succeed, not only in the air, but also on the ground. And really, it's the run game that kind of won the game,
no doubt,
for Tampa, because, when they needed it most, right? The last touchdown, Rachaad White, when they needed them most, Bucky Irving and Rachaad White were making plays, and the offensive line was doing just enough to move guys. I mean, I know we're hoping that Tristan Wirfs comes back. We don't know what is going to happen with Luke Gedeke. Do we think that this offensive line going forward is going to be able to? I mean, they passed the main test, I think. Talking about maybe the best pass rushing team they had available to them right here this week. So I think that maybe this is going to work out for the early season.
Yeah, and Aileen, when you look at how hard Bucky Irving and Rachaad White were running, it's almost like they were just taking cues from their leader, Baker Mayfield, right? And we've seen both those guys have some tough runs, but it seemed like every tough run and catch was kind of trumped by the next guy on the next play, and you love that competitiveness between those guys. They're great friends. There's no bad blood whatsoever. They're great teammates, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of like how two guys can coexist in the same backfield. Remember back in the day, this is before your time, Aileen, but it's like the WD-40 backfield of Mike Allstott and Warwick Dunn.
Yeah.
Right? Both of those guys, kind of different runners, but they coexisted and helped this team win playoff games and, in a division championship in 1999 together for 5 years. And I know everyone's kind of writing off Rachaad White. Well, this is his last year in Tampa.
Yes.
Well, is it? I don't know. He brings a lot of value to this team. Great pass protector, tremendous receiver out of the backfield, hard-nosed runner. He's really becoming that. To me, this should be a two-back system because Rachaad White has really proven himself. Oh, and by the way, he fell on the hand grenade last night. He dove for that loose ball that Baker Mayfield fumbled. If he didn't do that, they probably lose the game. Took a helmet to the ribs for doing that. That shows you how much of a great teammate he is and how he's willing to do the dirty work recovering that fumble.
Yeah, 100%. I love that you bring up that they're two completely different backs, too. And I think that kind of throws defensives maybe for a loop a little bit. I'll never forget Rachaad White telling us in a press conference last year. Bucky was like, yeah, man, you just get behind him, get low, and go around him. And he's like, Bucky, I can't do that, man. I'm like 6'1", 6 feet tall. Bucky, I can't be doing that. I'm not that, I'm not short. But they have two different styles, but same mindset, right? And they have shared this position really, really well. And it works out for them. And the run game really stepped up in week 2 because
I was surprised.
I know Baker
I didn't
Mayfield.
think they were going to have that much success.
I know Mayfield led the team in rushing yards with 39, right? In week 1 and week 2, they combined White, Irving, and Mayfield all 167 yards. I think it was it White or Mayfield who led? I'm going to go White. Was it White? No, it's Bucky. It's Bucky. He had 71
yards to 65.
Yep, 71, 65. But it was really cool. And I asked Coach Bowles this morning, I said, hey, did you guys do anything differently from week 1 to week 2? What changes did you make? And of course, he was like, we made some changes. Not going to tell you exactly, but we made some changes to where it was a little bit more run heavy this game. But really good to see. Baker's going to run regardless if he wants to and feels like he has to. We'd love to see him not do that.
It just gets him going.
Dude, I know. It gets the team
going.
It gets the juice. It does get the team going, and you love to see that. But Baker, stop it. We need you all season.
Yes, we do. Speaking of, I have 2 questions I have left for you guys before the end of the show, but we're going to get to those right after this. Welcome back into the Stream Center here at WFLA, your official Bucs station. This is, of course, Bucs Bonus. I am Garrett Phillips here with Aileen Hnatiuk and Scott Reynolds of Pewter Report. Listen, I have 2 questions left to ask you guys. I have one, it's a little bit more positive, one's a little bit more negative. Scott, you're our guest. Would you rather the positive or the negative question?
The negative
I'll take
question.
the negative one.
Okay.
With that.
In that case,
thanks,
let's
Scott.
go ahead
Appreciate you, buddy.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and start with Chase McLaughlin. Special teams, let's just say not very special. And it wasn't just on McLaughlin last night, but that is now another missed field goal and a missed field goal and a missed extra point last week, missed field goal this week. And these are games that are being decided by less than 3 points. You cannot afford to keep doing this week after week. Is it time for Tampa Bay to bring in somebody else at kicker and see if they can maybe push Chase to be back to being what he was, or maybe replace him?
I don't think so, because it's all up here. It's it's a mental thing with Chase right now. And if I'm Chase, I'm thinking, you know what? This is just the domes. I'm going to be kicking for the next couple weeks outside where it's sunny and I have to deal with the lights and all that stuff. I'm making whatever excuse I can come up with to help me overcome this mental hurdle that is the missed field goals and kicks right now. I don't think that this is the week to bring in another kicker. I want to give Chase one more opportunity to try to rectify his misses and have him go right between the uprights. And maybe that happens at home. He's done very well kicking field goals at Raymond James Stadium. So I think if you bring another kicker in right now, that's something else for him to kind of think about and worry about. And I want his head cleared. I want to say, listen, you were pretty close. It hit the upright last time. So let's try one more week here. We believe in you still, and we'll let you have the benefit of the doubt. And I think if he has a perfect game with PATs and extra and field goals, then maybe case closed on this. Maybe this was just a little bit of an early season aberration. Maybe it was the domes. I don't know, but I'd give him another week, because I think if you bring another kicker in for even tryouts, it gives him something to think about, and I want his mind clear heading into Sunday against the Jets.
I almost passed out when I heard the doink on the TV. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Come on, why?
That was our negative question. I've got a positive question now for you, Aileen. Emeka Egbuka.
What if I wanted the negative question?
Well, I'm sorry. Unfortunately, Scott's the guest. Emeka Egbuka, 3 touchdowns. I believe, if I'm got my math right, leading the NFL right now. He's tied with a couple of guys, but leading the league right now in touchdowns. Is it too early to start asking Offensive Rookie of the Year?
I'm going to throw another stat in there too. He is the Scott, phone a friend here, because I tweeted this out and I didn't word it properly, and everybody was like, Mike had the most receiving touchdowns. I was like, oh, no. He is the only player in Bucs history to start their career 2-0 with that many receiving touchdowns.
Yeah, and listen, Mike Evans had 12 receiving touchdowns as a rookie, which set a new record, not just for rookies, but for
Dude's already
single
got 3.
season touchdowns, right? And that was in 2014. At the pace he's going right now, it's not out of the question to think
so
Emeka
too.
Egbuka might break Mike Evans' rookie record for touchdowns. It's crazy to think about, but I mean, he's got 3 in 2 games.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he could break his record, and I think he could, I'm going to say could be Rookie of the Year. We cannot throw these out there, Garrett. It is too early in the season. I'm superstitious. Yeah. I have had the same mug for the past 2 weeks. I will be having it again on Sunday. We cannot make these accusations just so quickly. However, as Scott said, if he does continue the pace he's at and keeps doing what he's doing, it's kind of interesting though. I thought Mike would have a touchdown last week against the Texans. Yeah. So it's weird. He hasn't, I don't want to say quiet, but a little quiet. And Emeka's just kind of stolen the show here. Also, shout out Ryan Miller for getting his first catch of the year, and that ending up in a touchdown. Come on.
Yeah. Good news, of course, for Mike Evans, who I think is still fairly on pace for his record-breaking season. I think he only needs about 60 yards a game.
I want a tutty,
Absolutely
Garrett.
doable.
I'm talking about touchdowns.
Of course.
Yards. I want to see touchdown Mike Evans.
But the
week 3.
the more that you get guys like Egbuka doing their thing, and then once Chris Godwin comes back, once Jalen McMillan comes back, people have been thinking, let's make the rookie prove it, because really, what is it? It's Mike Evans, and then who else? The rookie's proven it. So now as the rookie proves it more and more.
Hold up. It's Ryan Miller, Sterling Shepard, right? Come on.
Right,
those dudes are doing their thing.
Talking about double coverage, I'm just saying. I mean, you're going to go to Mike Evans, of course. But now that you're going to have to start paying more attention to Emeka Egbuka, I think Mike's time is coming. And maybe it comes here and home. It would be a pretty poetic way to...
Well, like Mike loves to share the love and pass those balls out like souvenirs to fans in the stands. So
and he hasn't had that touchdown yet, but he did, I think, maybe the most important play that Mike Evans has done happen in week 1 on Emeka Egbuka's first touchdown, when he recovered the ball that Emeka had thrown away and gave it to him and said, hey, listen, don't make the mistake I have made. Don't throw away important balls that you need to keep this one. Yeah,
he's like, go find that.
Very good teammate. And unfortunately for us, we're kind of running out of time. That's going to do it for us here on Bucs Bonus. I think, listen, Scott, Aileen, I could do this with you guys all day long. It is absolutely just so easy and fun to talk Bucs football with you guys. We will be back next week, though, hopefully with another win, hopefully at 3-0.
Bucs by 90. Bucs by 90, week 3 against the Jets. Home opener. There you go.
Home opener against the Jets coming up.
Throw eggs at the station if I'm wrong.
Week 3, mark it down.
Mark it down. That's 2 predictions from you guys for Bucs Bonus. We're going to come back to you guys next week at 3-0. We will see you then. Until then, see you guys next time.